former X Division champion and number 22 on PWP's Top 25 of 2022, Mike Bailey here, and you are listening to Pro Wrestling Proverbs with Logan and Anthony.
WrestleMania weekend has came and went. The first Mania weekend in the Triple H Paul Levesque era. Hall of Fame. Paul Heyman speech, one of the best all time. NXT Stand and Deliver continued the trend of NXT's before Mania being top tier. And in my opinions, both nights of Mania, except for one match, a little suspect. But the rest of it was either what was expected or some of the matches pulled out more than they were supposed to. Not doing a Mania review here, folks. Just bringing this up so that way we can say Nick Putnam was the winner of our WrestleMania Pick'em contest. He got 12 right. He only missed he only missed Escobar and Dirty Dom. He picked those two scoundrels instead of Ray and Dragon Lee. So I'm sure he has a bone to pick with the Philadelphia Eagles for costing him a clean sweep.
You know why our friend Nick here won?
Why?
Because he's a...
You fucking mark!
That's what he is. That's how he knew all the winners. We say he only got one wrong.
I did put a kind of, I guess you'd call it a test pick 'em in. I got 8 right, so I would say that would kind of be the, if you got 8 or above, you're doing pretty good. Luckily, we had 7 people get 8 or above, so I mean, not too shabby.
Well, you know, I was gonna put one in, but I didn't want to be the one that won because I did my own separate one. I'm not gonna show it to you guys obviously, but I got all of them right, and I got the attendance exactly right too.
I heard you got the attendance right.
Yeah, I even on night 1 before night 1 started, I even texted you. I was like, hey, this is gonna be the attendance number, and I got it right.
But for getting the pick 'em right, what is it that Nick Putnam gets, Anthony?
He's actually local to us, so
okay.
I will get in touch with him and I'll hook him up with something from our Etsy store.
Perfect.
So we'll figure out exactly what it is, or we could get. We have shirts here too. We can make them.
There is another contest going on. We did do that YouTube, the WrestleMania Jeopardy, 2nd edition of WrestleMania Jeopardy, 3rd edition of Jeopardy. Make sure you give that a listen. Listen all the way to the end so that way you can know how to cost Anthony some more money.
Hey, I need to be saving money here, so.
But, I know I've made promises in the past. I wanted to do a WrestleMania review here, folks. I know I've made promises about being done with Vince McMahon, being done with Bray Wyatt, being done with CM Punk. But somebody is back on the CM Punk train. And if it's not me, then I couldn't imagine it's the guy with the CM Punk figures in his room.
What? Hold on, how many do I have?
I know of 2.
2, 3, 4, 5. Couldn't be me, but CM Punk is back on his bullshit. Letting everybody know how exactly he's feeling here.
Yeah, he before Mania, he was a nice way to put his little rapscallion. I mean, they announced the attendance for the one night, and he asked Miz if he was going to get a tattoo of that, making fun of AEW clearly.
Well, Will Ospreay specifically.
Yes, yeah.
And Will Ospreay was the target of a couple strays, as the kids would call it. He caught a couple strays this past weekend.
Did Adam Page get a stray at the end of the McIntyre match when he was celebrating, and he kind of was getting in Punk's face? Because I heard Punk say, "Yeah, I've done this before," And that, to me, almost seems like that was aimed at, a champion coming after him as soon as he wins the title.
We'll get to that. We'll get to him.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, Triple H took a shot at Will Ospreay too this past weekend, saying if you want to go somewhere and make a bunch of money and not work any dates, I don't really want to. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they were firing him off.
So AEW decided to respond. Well, this all actually started last Monday. CM Punk went on. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not going to try. Ariel's show, the MMA Hour, which became the Pro Wrestling Hour this past week.
Yeah.
I'm sure all of his MMA fans love it. There's nothing more that MMA fans love than pro wrestling.
Yeah. That and respecting their wives.
Come here, babe. I saw this cool move Conor McGregor did to his wife. Anyway. Punk went on there and kind of told a story about his time there in AEW, which he
didn't want to.
It sounded like he kind of did. He kept saying, "I don't want to talk about this," and then would go on a 20-minute diatribe about it. So AEW responded with a Adam Copeland promo, which was kind of weird. Besides Punk, the most WWE guy they have.
That's what I thought.
There.
Like, why didn't they have? I mean, I know Darby's away right now, but someone like a Darby or an Adam Page or an AEW guy.
Well, I think probably Adam Copeland's probably the least offensive person they could have put out there. That's wouldn't true. Get like that wouldn't stoke the flames too much. But I think Tony Khan officially said, "Fuck that, let's stoke all the flames." And,
yeah, he
did. Tonight. We're recording this Wednesday night at approximately 6 o'clock. And depending on how long it takes us to do this, we might actually go right up to the AEW Dynamite. We'll see how it goes. And then we might be able to watch that in real time. That'd be something. That'd be a first for the pod. But they're releasing the footage from AEW All Out. But I decided before we get there, let's go all the way back. Like, what started this? Like, why is CM Punk and AEW, or specifically CM Punk and the Elite, just
are they beefing?
Why are they beefing? Why can they not get along?
Where's the beef?
They have the beef. They should call Arby's. They have a lot of beef ready to go. But I think what we have to do is we have to go way back to the beginning here.
Okay.
I think we got to go back to 2014, 10 years ago.
Long time.
It was a long time ago. Where were you 10 years ago in high school?
2014 in May, or April. Getting ready to graduate. Plan. I think at this point, you and I might have been talking a little bit, feeling each other out to be roommates.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I wasn't doing too much.
Well, CM Punk abruptly leaves WWE in January of 2014.
Yes.
He proceeded, and from my recollection of it, from interviews he did, he didn't intend to walk away forever.
Right.
He thought when he first walked out that he'd be back by Vince called him or texted him or something that he was suspended until after WrestleMania. So he thought he'd be brought back for the Raw after Mania. But that did not end up happening, and he kind of didn't know what was going on. And then Triple H tried calling him, but he's like, "Hey man, I'm about to get married. Can I call you back after our honeymoon?" And Triple H said, "Yes, sure, of course." But he got a FedEx letter that same day, which means that they literally just sent it that day. For those of you that don't know, it's not like Triple H was just trying to call and warn them that it was coming or something. It's something happened after that phone call where they decided to fire him on his wedding day, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And then CM Punk would go on to the Art of Wrestling podcast. Now, this is around Thanksgiving of 2014. So we were already moved in together.
Yep.
Up in Central. I knew where I was when I first heard this. I was at Kirsten's mom's old house.
Okay.
And I remember getting like I had an iPhone, I believe, by this point. I don't think I would have went to college because when I was in high school, I had the old flip phone iPod Duo that I would carry around with me. I believe I had an iPhone 3 at the time. Even that was old for 2014. But I had an old iPhone, and I remember getting a notification that... Because I was an avid listener of Art of Wrestling at this time. I'd listen to like almost every week. It was my show that I'd listen to when I had my first job as a dishwasher. Really got me into podcasting at that time. Like, a pro wrestling podcast. Love it. I was like, oh, shit. A CM Punk episode? He's talking about everything that happened in WWE. Turns out, I don't know if you remember, you listen to it, obviously.
Yep.
Do you remember when they said they set up like a Gmail account so you can send in questions?
Yeah.
I sent in questions.
Oh.
But the email account broke or something, and they didn't end up doing it, and they just did a second episode. All right. Long story short, CM Punk gets sued from this podcast.
Yes. That I remember that being a big thing.
Well, it was a big thing. It lasted multiple years.
Yeah. Ruined a friendship.
Ruined a good friendship, in which we're going to get into here. A user here on Reddit actually got linked to this from a Wrestling with Regret video that I was watching a couple weeks ago, and it's kind of been sitting in the back of my head since then. Brian Zane did an episode on Punk. I think after he got fired, it might have been... I don't remember how long ago it was. But I got linked to this Reddit account that kind of goes through the entire lawsuit pretty vividly. It was posted 2 years ago by user Kryler, Kryler.
Okay.
He wrote a really good summary, and on the YouTube video, he said he would just link it. I believe, since we're an audio podcast, I think we're not trying to, this word,
Make people read.
So I will read it for them, because it's not too long of a post, and I believe it has a lot of great information.
Now, before you read this, just keep in the back of your head all the things that people said on the Vince McMahon video. Just use those while reading this. You keep those in the back of your head. I'll keep in the back of my head to stop with the comments on the podcast that we just have a bunch of dead air when needed.
Yeah. I'll try not to mispronounce anything.
Yeah.
Or say...
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say what I accidentally said apparently on that pod. A summary of what caused the rift and eventual lawsuit between Colt and Punk, and why they sued each other. Following Punk leaving WWE in 2014, he made an appearance on then close friends Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast in a tell-all interview, during which Punk made numerous claims about WWE's negative and unsafe working environment, issues with wanting sponsors on his gear and being told no, only for Brock to return to be allowed sponsors, verbally attacking Ryback for being an unsafe worker, attacking Triple H for politicking and manipulating backstage, and eventually making a string of damning comments surrounding WWE Dr. Amann, and the company missing the fact that Punk had a staph infection and given him, quote, Z-Packs to help him, as a number of other injuries he shouldn't have worked through. This last point was what began the legal troubles for them both. The WWE and Dr. Amann opened up a defamation lawsuit against them both. Punk and Colt would eventually win, but it came at a tremendous financial cost, and this ultimately led to the breakup of their friendship. After the podcast aired, the WWE and Dr. Amann sent Colt a demand letter demanding the podcast be taken down or face legal action. Colt tabled the idea to take them down. Punk refused. Punk later said his lawyers would handle it in reference to the letter. Colt did nothing. Colt was sent another letter, and Punk told Colt in the text message that, quote, "I'll make sure you're 100% covered for the legal fees if WWE sued, and that Colt could use Punk's lawyers during the suit. So Colt left the podcast up, and WWE and Dr. Amann filed their lawsuit. Punk and Colt signed an agreement with Punk's lawyers, an agreement importantly stating Punk would be billed. In Colt's eyes, this meant only Punk would pay. Seems kind of self-explanatory, right?
Yeah.
Yep. When the costs began to mount up in April of 2016, Punk sent Colt the following email. To date, I have spent $513,736 on this Amann lawsuit. My outstanding current bill is at least $300K. Half of this is yours. Divide 513,736 by 2, and that is what you owe me, and I expect you to pay me. Starting now, I'll no longer be paying your bills. You are on your own. Whatever my bill is currently will be cut in half, and half will be yours. If you choose to make this ugly, that's fine too. I hope you won't, but I gave up on you doing what is right a long time ago.
Yikes. Sounds like two parents separating, and this parent's just had enough.
Is that speaking from personal experience here?
No.
Okay. Love you, Daddy Keith. What is that? Cole began looking for a new firm to represent him. Shortly later, Punk's lawyers sent Colt the following. Despite your unwillingness to contribute to your legal fees, I am still prepared to represent you, and Phil is prepared to have me represent you and cover your legal fees going forward, as long as there's no conflict between you and Phil that prevents me from fairly and ethically representing you. Hoping there would be no conflict, Colt stayed with the firm. Then, in March of 2017, the firm, according to Colt, dropped him without explanation. Colt believed this was Punk's wishes. Punk's lawyers only stated it was due to, quote, ethical reasons. It's believed that this was caused due to Colt visiting friends at a WWE show.
Oh boy.
Does it sound familiar?
A little bit.
And Punk and team feeling this was a clear conflict of interest. Colt reportedly refuted this and claimed he only met friends outside of the show for food and did not attend the event. Regardless of the reason, Colt sought new counsel with a new firm and his bills began mounting up, reaching around $200,000. Colt
Pro Wrestling Tees could help Colt pay that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They're just a t-shirt company. Colt demanded Punk pay. In Colt's eyes, as per the original agreement. Colt explained his position to his new lawyers, who in turn demands payment from Punk. Punk refused to pay Colt's bills again, in Colt's eyes, reneging the agreement. Colt sued Punk for what he felt Punk had verbally and via text agreed upon. Punk countersued for breach of contract for money he felt Colt was due to pay. In some reports, punitive damages were sought of up to $1 million.
Yikes.
It is reported that in total, $1.2 million was spent by Punk in the suit defending against WWE. Colt's initial suit focused on text messages where Punk allegedly agreed to pay. The court ruled against him, with the court agreeing with Punk and his team that at no point did Colt provide any proof of contract that Punk agreed to pay Colt's fees. Cabana has, quote, failed to allege that Brooks provided an offer that was definite and certain enough to support an enforceable contract. In short, nothing Colt has shown was enough proof in the state of Illinois to show that anything Punk has done was done with deliberate intent to defraud him, or any messages between the two were a, quote, contract, and that could be enforceable by law. This case was dismissed without prejudice, meaning it afforded Colt a chance to file again with the argument reframed or with additional information brought to light.
So what you're saying is, the money that Colt Cabana was making at his table at Squirt Circle Expo was still probably paying this off.
I don't want to say. I don't want to say nothing.
You don't want to get sued?
I do not want to get sued here.
We'll counter sue.
I'm not going to try to joke. I like Colt Cabana. I'm not going to try to joke about him. I have one of his t-shirts. I put money towards the cause. I'm on both sides here. All right. I'm serious. I'm like, you ever thought about that? Like, where like your money goes? Like, I've bought shirts from like Punk and Colt Cabana. And like whatever $60-$80 that is, that probably was sitting in one of their bank accounts. They got sent to a lawyer to represent them.
Well, actually, it was probably sitting in Colt Cabana's mom's bank account. I don't have any Boom Boom Colt Cabana shirts. I do have a little Christmas ornament, which I think is called a Hanukkah ornament. I got that in a porcelain crate box.
I have one of his like PWT's shirts, but I always wanted the one where it says like I starred David Colt, I think it is. I always wanted one of those.
Yeah.
Those are one of the most iconic shirts ever. I'd like to get one of those, but nonetheless. Where was I at? Colt submitted a new suit some 10 days later, this time focused specifically on the fact that Punk told Colt to leave the podcast up, and if anything happened, he would cover the costs. Also providing that previously mentioned agreement with Punk's firm that explicitly said Punk would be billed, and relying on the fact that Punk's lawyers emailed him using the phrase, "Phil is prepared to have me represent you and cover your legal fees going forward." Punk's countersuit focused on the fact, while the agreements with Punk's lawyers said that Punk would be billed, the two parties were silent with respect to how Brooks and Colton could, would, and should allocate the Loeb firm's fees and expenses among themselves, or whether, how, and when Colton should reimburse Brooks. Punk's lawyers also pointed to the original agreement and said, although we are not aware of any conflict that presently exists between the two of you, the potential of such a conflict exists. If an actual conflict were to arise in the future, we may not be able to represent Scott Colton in the Amon lawsuit. With regards to Colt being able to afford the suit, Punk's lawsuit noted that Colt made more than enough money from the podcast itself through advertisements and sponsors, YouTube ad revenue, and merch sales from the show, noting that within 5 days of the CM Punk episode, that episode was streamed or downloaded 1.5 million times, the largest audience ever for that podcast series. Within a week, that number was up to 3 million. Punk's defense was that Colt would have made more than enough money from the show itself to offer to pay his fair share. Punk's lawsuit also alleged that when Colt received the demand letter from WWE and Amon, Punk fully believed that Colt had a commercial and financial incentive to leave episode 226 available for public consumption and not comply with the demand letter. Essentially, that was not only Colt leaving it because Punk suggested to, it's also because Colt knew he would make a lot of money from the show if he left it online. The lawsuits between the two were dismissed, coincidentally, one day before Fox signed an agreement with CM Punk to appear on their show WWE Backstage, meaning no dirty laundry or nasty legal cases would be going on while Punk was employed and back in the public eye on a WWE-related broadcast. Colt, to my knowledge, has never publicly commented on the suits, but the above has been covered in various reputable sources, including the Chicago Sun, Times, and Forbes. Punk has occasionally publicly commented on this. This was posted 2 years ago. Oh, this is right after the media scrum. On Twitter, and now infamously during the media scrum, Punk has stated that he offered to settle to talk and mediate, and Colt refused. Likely, Colt believed that he was not due to pay anything, as in his mind, Punk originally promised he wouldn't. On Punk's side, the cost spiraled as he stuck by when his view was only fair, Colt would pay his part of the costs incurred. With the friendship well and truly done, Punk obviously later joined AEW, where Colt was signed. Now this is kind of we're gonna actually kind of bring us into our next stage, our next step here almost before we get there. Before Punk would sign with AEW, I don't know if you remember, back in 2018, I believe it was.
Yep.
There was a little show. I don't know if you heard of it. It was called All In. That was taking place in Chicago during Starrcast 3.
Yeah, I bought it, and I actually watched it at your apartment. You came home for, I think, the last couple matches because you were working.
Yeah.
It was a very good show. I mean, it was AEW before AEW, but at the time it was essentially a like King of the Indies.
Yeah.
But even people seem to forget it even had like Rey Mysterio on it. It was a who's who show. It was fantastic.
Well, Punk was always rumored to be a part of Starrcast. That this would be kind of a perfect little thing for him to get back into. It was a sold-out show in Chicago. Perfect way to make his return. Hold on.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He was appearing. He was doing an autograph signing the day before. He had a couple panels, like we know. And apparently, an offer was sent out to Punk via text message.
What a bunch of goons for doing it over a text.
And Punk apparently did not take that well. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I remember him essentially saying it was unprofessional, and he didn't want to come back for just a spot. He wanted to do something with a little bit more substance. So he didn't go to AEW, and in fact, we would not hear the phrase CM Punk returns until, like was said here in this post, WWE backstage. This was
and
2019, less about a year later.
It was a pretty big moment. I remember he walking out to his music, and Joe was there, Renee Young, I think Adam Cole.
Yeah. Booker T was there too.
Yeah, it was a fun little moment. A lot of people thought it would lead to more with WWE, even though it was explicitly said Fox signed him.
Well, I believe it was during this most recent interview with him that there was plans for him to come back to WWE after him walking out. He didn't say exactly what it was or when it would have happened. I would assumed it probably would have been sometime in 2020. And I think you could probably figure out why it didn't happen.
I don't know.
Something might have happened in the world. I don't know. But he did not end up returning. Talks fell through. Which would lead us to a great day. One of my favorite days of all time. August 2021. Where CM Punk would actually, officially for the first time since 2014, walk into a wrestling arena as CM Punk. We were there. I was there. You weren't there.
Yes.
You were there in spirit. It was our first, it's what restarted the Pro Wrestling Proverbs podcast.
Yes.
It was our first episode. Where I went through my great day there. So if you want to listen to what I did that day, go onto our podcast feed and scroll all the way to the bottom. You'll be the first one there.
Number one. That
episode, for some reason, is only available on Spotify. So you have to download Spotify if you want to listen to that one. So CM Punk would return to AEW, where Colt Cabana was signed. Then around this time, once CM Punk was there, he had his great feuds with Darby. Then he moved on to Eddie Kingston, and then MJF. And around this time, as Punk is kind of becoming a mainstay here on the AEW roster, appearing weekly on television and all the big shows, pay-per-views. You know who's not really being featured at all?
Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan was not featured at all in AEW. You're right.
Got it.
But somebody with probably the same amount of stature in the wrestling business, Colt Cabana.
Oof.
Colt Cabana was not featured at all. In reality, Colt wasn't really doing much on AEW television anyway.
Was he with the Dark Order at this point?
He was with the Dark Order at this point, and even when the Dark Order was doing stuff, he was not on television.
Yeah, I will, to his defense, I know a lot of people be like, oh, it's because Colt wasn't very good. If I'm not mistaken, the passing of Brody Lee kind of threw a wrench into things.
Yeah.
Because Brody, it almost seemed like Brody Lee's character was going to kind of... People compared him to Vince McMahon a lot, like the character. But I think there was a little bit of Raven there. Because he was solely taking the outcast, right? And helping them. And it almost looked like Colt was the first big outcast that wasn't, an evil Uno or whatever. And because of his passing, kind of went nowhere. He ended up being in I call it the post-Brody Dark Order, where everyone was kind of positive and doing things for Brody. But, yeah, that's about all he did. I'm sure having Colt there made it easier to make the Dark Order a comedy group, too. Since, he's done some real wrestling, but he is primarily a comedy guy. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, that's, not everybody can be, not
everyone can be Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, not everybody can be Hulk Hogan. Not everybody can be CM Punk, right?
Yes.
There's room for everybody. But Colt not really doing anything with the Dark Order gets shipped to Ring of Honor. Then
we thought was great. You plugged the first podcast we did. We did one on Ring of Honor being bought by Tony Khan.
Yep.
And at first I was a little leery, and now we both agree that it's kind of just a shiny plaything with some good tape library for him. But we discussed all the names that were associated with it that he could bring into it, and Colt Cabana just made sense. Colt Cabana, he helped book for Ring of Honor, or at least write. He had some big feuds in Ring of Honor. He was a commentator. He did it all. So we thought Colt would fit right at home, and not so much.
So Colt gets moved to Ring of Honor. And around this time, rumors began circulating that this was Punk's doing, not Tony Khan's doing. That Punk removed him from AEW TV. Tony Khan, I believe, to his credit, denied this in a Forbes article.
I think so.
But it was also around this time that Punk has revealed in that most recent interview that Colt Cabana actually came up to him backstage at AEW.
Yes.
And Colt said, you want to clear things up, whatever you want to talk so things aren't really awkward here. And to which Punk replied, I will not talk to you unless there is a lawyer present. Which, on face value, sounds kind of harsh, But after, how long was this? This lawsuit was, 5 years? 5 years, $1 million in legal fees later. That was argued between the two of you. You probably don't want to talk to the person.
You probably don't want to talk turkey with this guy.
Probably not. So around this time, Punk now believes that this is starting to get out onto the wrestling dirt sheets. And Punk at this time believes that it was the EVPs of AEW sending this out here. But regardless, Punk moves on. He's happy with AEW. And he has a match coming up at Double or Nothing with AEW World Champion Hangman Adam Page, who is not really a member of the Elite. He's kind of in that their little friend group, probably like the Elite extended family.
Yes. Yep.
So now, Logan, I believe you can see this.
Yes, I can.
Let me know if you can hear it or not. This was the week before Double or Nothing in Vegas, their 3-year anniversary show. Now there's a promo that's worked out between Punk and Page.
I love this one.
where, they in the wrestling business, everything is. I don't want to break the magic for anybody. Everything's scripted. As much as they want to say that, we're just kind of cutting promos on the fly here. Most of the time, they have points that they're going to make and cues for the other person to respond to. Because if you hear not just Punk's interview, if you hear any interview that like a wrestler will talk about of them being in the ring cutting a promo with another wrestler, it's hard to hear them because the speakers aren't coming back at you; they're going out into the crowd, so the crowd can hear you talk, and the crowd is very loud, so you cannot hear what he's saying. You kind of just gotta hope that he's saying his thing. But Punk does get a glimpse of what he says here. But let's take a listen to what Hangman Adam Page promo had to say here, which really, I would say, started the downward spiral of Punk's time here in AEW.
Say about you, the more I realize it's exactly what you would do. And I don't think fighting your hatred, your pettiness, your cowardice was more of the same. I don't think it's the right thing to do. But I will tell you face to face, man to man, how I feel about you. I don't hate you. I almost pity you. And I have no respect for you and what you've done since you've gotten here.
Yikes.
I want you to watch Tony Schiavone here.
I don't think you understand what it means to be a champion after all these years. I don't think you get it, because it's not just about what happens in this ring. It's what happens when that red light turns off. What happens when you go back through the curtain, those small, quiet moments when you think no one's watching. That's what makes a champion. You talk a big game about workers' rights, yeah? Well, you've shown the exact opposite since you've gotten here. I love this place. I care about this place. This is my home. And this Sunday at Double or Nothing, I will not be defending this championship against you. No, for the first time in my life, I will be defending all elite wrestling from you.
So that's the promo that really set everything off.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that when the promo happened, like, people are like, oh, Punk looks angry. But Punk kind of always looked angry. So no one really thought anything of it. It's in hindsight. And if you're one of those people that says, oh, I know something's up when this promo happened. No, you didn't. It's just as more things came out, you're realizing, oh. Because Punk is not happy in that clip. And Tony Schiavone's shocked. And this is a man who had to run the interview stage with a bunch of rowdy Four Horsemen. He had to run the interview stage with the Road Warriors, and you know what they did backstage. I mean, so for him to be shocked.
Well, that's kind of only part one of this. I'm not going to play the audio for this one because we're an audio podcast. We're an audio podcast is mostly a video. It's of the match at Double or Nothing. And if we watch here, this is Punk thinks Hangman is a little stiff with him. We're here. He's getting a little close. Then some receipts here. Punk does believe that Heyman's a little stiff. That chop, to me, I don't know if you can stick up from here. I think I just paused at the right spot. That looks a little high.
Oh yeah,
a little high. If you guys listening want to check this out, because I know this is an audio. Rah Hits Posts, a YouTube channel, upload a video. Did Hangman Adam Page shoot on CM Punk at the main event of AEW Double or Nothing 2022? And if you pause it right about 16 seconds.
Yeah, that's way high.
Well, you see, like, he's chopping him right around his neck, but the way he's doing it, he has his forearm a little high as he's coming through. But that's neither here or there. Well, CM Punk would go on to win this match, become AEW World Champion. The next week in Los Angeles, celebrating his win, decides to dive into the crowd.
Yeah.
And break his foot.
The beginning of CM Punk's injury troubles.
Yes, this is. If you imagine like how different this would be if he didn't stage dive, if there was no pandemic, right? Like where would like so many things. This is like the unfortunate perfect like cocktail of things here. So Punk stage dives, gets hurt, wrestles the entire match on a broken foot, pulverizes his bone. So now he's out for, I think it was about 3 months.
I think so.
2-3 months. And around this time, they crowned a new world champion, interim world champion, because Tony Khan did not want to strip Punk of the title. But Punk would eventually return. And after sitting on everything that happened with Hangman, he says to come back. And on AEW Dynamite on August 17th, he says to cut this promo. Now, I want you to tell me if this receipt you believe was warranted for what we just saw from Hangman Adam Page.
Okay.
Where are we? Where are we tonight? There's somebody that's from around these parts that I would like to challenge to a rematch, and I would like to do it right here, right now for you beautiful people. Hangman Adam Page.
Oh, whoa, wow.
You want that rematch? You got it right here, right now. Let's go.
What
Is
the?
Punk even cleared?
What the? Cole, he's calling him out.
That confirm yay or nay.
Sassafras, Phil going in for himself again.
Cowboy shizness.
Yeah.
The crowd is
this
chanting cowboy. Everybody's chanting cowboy shit. Punk is looking at his fake watch on his wrist, waiting for somebody to come out,
Well, this is
checking
the
if the
first time
microphone
we've heard
still
from Punk
works.
since that match.
My sentiments exactly. Now on to the important things. That's not cowboy shit, that's coward shit.
Whoa.
Oh,
A
Sassafras.
little bit
Oh,
of
jeez.
advice, and I suggest you take. The apology must be as loud and as public as the disrespect. And if anybody else has a problem with the champion, well, I suggest you come on down. You see, because everybody.
Okay, so you get the gist.
Yeah, he,
So Hangman kind of makes allude to something that the fans don't really know about. That he's just kind of building a match. Maybe he's a little stiff in the ring, which Punk claims to be the reason why he couldn't do the buckshot lariat, because he was so frazzled from how stiff Heyman was. He couldn't. That's why he kept botching that move, apparently. And then he comes back a couple months later and cuts that promo, calling him out. To which, the Heyman, he's not injured. He's there in the building, right? The fans know he's there. But he's not allowed to come out. He's making him look like a bozo.
Making him look like a cowboy bitch.
A coward shit, as he would say. You think that's a fair receipt? As they say in the wrestling business, gotta get my receipt. I'm gonna get you my receipt.
I don't know if that's a fair receipt for what Page did. I'm thinking that in CM Punk's mind, he's CM Punk. At one point, he was like the best wrestler in the world, and you have this elite lackey calling him out, like indirectly, and taking all these pot shots. And I mean, he's worked with the Bucks before, so he kind of knows how they are. So
and around this time is when those reports are coming out that Punk is the reason Colt Cabana isn't on television anymore.
Yeah, so I think, I don't think it warranted this, but I think this was him kind of driving a message home.
So, are you ready for this one?
Is this the fun one?
This is the fun one. We now move on to All Out. I didn't include the Jon Moxley promo on this.
Okay.
I don't think he's too involved in it. He has the fragile mind, fragile body, fragile ego promo on Punk around this time. But I don't think, from what I can tell, from other like interviews that Punk has done, it's not something that he took offense to. That's not something. It's something they probably agreed on.
And we did cover this as well.
Yeah, we did.
This was a big one. This
All Out Fallout 2022.
Yeah, and to think when we recorded that, we thought, the suspensions would happen, which we'll get to that, but we thought suspensions would happen, and then that'd be it. Little did we know, this was kind of just, as they've been saying recently, this would be about inning number 3.
Yeah, this is about the 3rd inning here. But yeah, Punk wins back his AEW World Championship from Jon Moxley at All Out 2022, which MJF returns at the end, teasing a potential a continuation of their feud. But unfortunately, CM Punk has what was his injury? A torn labrum? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I believe so.
Something in his arm. But I want you, I want you to watch CM Punk's arm here.
Okay.
Now, I have to go back. I have not watched the All Out 2022 pay-per-view in quite some time. So I don't know if he was favoring it during the match. Maybe somebody in the comments can tell me, or if you know. But here, it doesn't really look like it's bothering him. And in his recent interview, he would not confirm or deny when the injury happened or if it happened after this scrum. So we're not going to play the whole thing. It will be a little bit longer than the other ones here. But this comes from Denise Salido. I can't pronounce her last name.
I think it's
Salcido. She works over at Fightful now. If you guys go over and give her a follow on X and Twitter and subscribe to her YouTube channel, she's a great content creator. As of right now, she's the only one that has a kind of a really great version of this. For some reason, the AEW version, which if you go back and look at our socials when we ripped it from their official feeds to repost onto ours, it sounds like everybody is talking into like a Darth Vader microphone.
Yeah.
So shout out to Denise here. And for those of you that have not heard this, I don't know what you've been doing, but for those of you that heard, let's take you back to the All Out 2022 media scrum.
Wow. Just say your name and your...
Cool. Hi, Nick Hausman with Wrestling Inc.
I'll start, Nick. Show of hands. Who here fancies themselves as a journalist? You're a journalist, Nick? All right.
I try my best.
Okay. No, real quick.
Go ahead.
You still do improv?
No, not a little bit.
No?
No.
When you did improv, who'd you do improv with?
I did it with Scott Colton.
Okay, so you fancy yourself a journalist. Would you say you're friends with Scott Colton?
No,
Tony
I haven't
Khan
talked to
is
Scott.
instantly scared.
So you're not friends with him?
He's
No, Scott and I do not see that.
Look at him.
Oh, wow. Well, that makes two of us. My point is, if you fancy yourself a journalist, even if it's for the silly world of professional wrestling, and you have journalistic integrity, people who report things, mostly that are bullshit, and slanderous lies against myself, if you are friends with somebody, you blew my spot. If you're not friends with them, I apologize.
It's okay.
But you should probably disclose who you're friends with.
I'm not friends with you.
I
or
haven't had
Scott.
anything to do with Scott Colton in almost a decade. Probably wanted nothing to do with him even longer than that. It's fucking unfortunate that I have to come up here and speak on this when I'm on my time and this is a fucking business. Why I'm a grown-ass adult man and I decide not to be friends with somebody is nobody else's fucking business. But my friends, if I fall backwards, will catch me. Scott Colton, I felt, never would have. My problem was I wanted to bring a guy with me to the top that did not want to see me at the top. Okay? You call it jealousy, you call it envy, whatever the fuck it is. My relationship with Scott Colton ended long before I paid all of his bills. I have every receipt, I have every invoice, I have every email. I have the email where he says, and I quote, "I agree to go our separate ways. I will get my own lawyer and you do not have to pay anymore." That's an email that I have. The only reason the public did not see is because when I finally had to countersue him through discovery, we discovered he shared a bank account with his mother. That's a fact. And as soon as we discovered that fact and we subpoenaed old Marcia, he sent the email, "Oh, can we please drop all this?" Now, it's 2022. I haven't been friends with this guy since at least 2014, late 2013. And the fact that I have to sit up here because we have irresponsible people who call themselves EVPs and couldn't fucking manage a target, and they spread lies and bullshit and put into a media that I got somebody fired when I have fuck all to do with him. Want nothing to do with him. Do not care where he works, where he doesn't work, where he eats, where he sleeps. And the fact that I have to get up here and do this in 2022 is fucking embarrassing. And if y'all are at fault, fuck you. If you're not, I apologize. But what did I ever do in this world to deserve an empty-headed fucking dumb fuck like Hangman Adam Page to go out on national television and fucking go into business for himself? For what? What did I do? Dave, what did I ever do? Didn't do a goddamn thing. What's your name, sir?
Dominic D'Angelo.
Fuck the Pittsburgh Penguins. What are you doing?
I'm from Pittsburgh.
I made it really clear in Forbes, and I just want to make it clear again. Nick,
it's not his position to make it very fucking clear. There's people who call themselves EVPs that should have fucking known better. This shit was none of their business. I understand sticking up for your fucking friends. I fucking get it. I stuck up for that guy more than anybody. Okay? I paid his bills until I didn't, and it was my decision not to.
Yeah, but I shouldn't have no commented when Nick first said it. It's my fault, and if I hadn't, it's my fault. It's my fault.
I appreciate
I
that.
should have just taken it head on because you never said
But I'm trying
anything.
to run a fucking business, and when somebody who hasn't done a damn thing in this business jeopardizes the first $1 million house that this company has ever drawn off of my back and goes on national television and does that, it's a disgrace to this industry, it's a disgrace to this company. Now, we're far beyond apologies, right? I gave him a fucking chance. It did not get handled, and you saw what I had to do, which was very regrettable, lowering myself to his fucking level. But that's where we're at right now. And I will still walk up and down this hallway and say, if you have a fucking problem with me, take it up with me. Let's fucking go. What's your question, Nick?
First of all, you're always very nice to me, and thank you.
So that was that. I'm actually gonna skip ahead because there's a little bit more that he says.
Voicemail.
Like I said, for the fans, I thought the best thing that we could do as a company was bring MJF back.
He wants me to work with pricks constantly. That's what it is.
Nevertheless, two of the
He's
top
eating a
wrestlers in
muffin
the world,
right
MJF
now.
and CM Punk.
Has
It's a big match down the line.
Sorry to keep bringing this fucking up, but I've never spoken his word in I don't know how long, so I'm a little fucking pissed off about it.
It's fine.
When it came down that he was going to sue me, I asked to talk to him. He refused. I asked for mediation. It was denied. I offered him money. He said it was not enough. He went ahead with the lawsuit and sued. It's his fucking funeral. I don't care. He shares a bank account with his mother. It tells you all you need to know about what kind of character that is.
You were always very nice to me. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Nick. I'm sorry if I'm a little fucking snippy.
That's fine.
I'm
That's fine.
hurt and I'm old and I'm fucking tired.
I totally-
And I work with fucking children.
I respect the situation.
I regret not answering your question the
And
first
I
time
only
you
asked it because I have some familiarity and just wanted some clarification on the story. I didn't break
I
the
should have
story.
just taken it head on like I did with Blake and Forbes recently.
We're all learning here, Tony. It's okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
This is from Mindy's Bakery, by the way. It's a great.
So there's one other part. I don't have the time stamp for it. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Because he takes a jab at Brian Alvarez towards the end here.
And I'm very sad today that I had to get up here and say his name. He doesn't fucking deserve it. And talk about it. But facts are facts, you know. Name two people that have made the most money off the name CM Punk. I don't think you're there yet. The first one's Vince McMahon. The second one's Scott Colton. I hope you all have a good night. Please be more responsible with the news you get from certain people. And just remember, we're human beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Punk.
Thank you. Thank you.
Did Larry have a good time?
Bro, Larry got one of the biggest pops of the night earlier. He got Lucy, ran down the
I
thing.
think I might have went past it.
And it was in a tag match.
If I can't find it real quick, I'll
I think
just
we're both guys
forget
that,
it.
but everybody, and I'm not, we have different philosophies about, easy peasy. Lower back, I could bite.
Yeah, it's hard to find right at this exact moment. I thought there was a way I could look at the transcripts. I can just search for. Over here. We're just searching. We're taking our time here. We're not in no hurry.
Yeah, but that entire interview, the entire time Punk's talking, this is one of the first times. Well, this is one of the first times that the majority of wrestling Twitter was questioning Tony Khan's leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he had his doubters before, but here just Punk stepped all over him. And didn't let him get a word in edgewise. And then telling him, we're all learning here, Tony. I thought that was the biggest disrespectful jab. But
here's another good highlight. Somebody asked him, because at this, the year before was the debut of Punk or Danielson and Cole. And he's like, what do you think? Where do you see the company in 5 years?
Again, 5 years. You'll see the impact of it. There's a chance I'm wrong. We got an uphill battle in a lot of respects. There's just so much drama and turmoil going on. But I like to believe in the place I work. We do have a very, very strong roster, and like I said, we have a lot of brilliant minds backstage. So if young talent's willing to actually listen and receive advice and information, I honestly think the sky's the limit. There's always going to be people who think they should be the top guy, want to be pushed, and I get that. I mean, that was me from like 2008 to 2010 or whatever, and I always wanted more, but I thought I acted like a top guy. Like if I missed a flight, I rented a car and made the town. I didn't just go, I missed the flight, I guess I'm not going to be a TV.
So that's kind of damning here. So I think I found where I needed to be.
In the fairly legendary run from John Moxley, can you talk about what it means to be the guy
to shot at Brian Alvarez?
Put an end to that run from Moxley.
Oh man, people are probably really mad at me then, huh? Alvarez, are you mad at me?
Not mad at you.
All right. I'm a little mad at you, but
If you don't know, he thinks that Alvarez is the guy that got leaked some of the stuff, I believe. And Alvarez came out and said something after this along the lines of he believed that Punk just saw a clip on one of his shows that he was mad at. I'm not really sure. So, obviously, after this, after laying down the challenge of if you have a fucking problem with me, let's fucking go. The Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, along with the legal team of AEW, decide to go into Punk's locker room. Now, there is NDAs about this. We don't know too much other than one of the Young Bucks got hit in the face with a chair.
Yep.
Supposedly, CM Punk swung first. Ace Steel bit Kenny Omega. And CM Punk, through, I think, Nick Hausman, I believe. Again, I could be off. Stated that Larry got hurt and lost a tooth. That was reported.
Poor doggy.
And I just wanted to point out here, we'll pull up the Instagram documentation.
Okay.
As you can see here, Logan, if you go to his post from 185 weeks ago, September 20th, 2020.
Yeah.
You see little Larry. He has all of his teeth.
Yeah. He's smiling.
He got all of his little teeth. But if you go to January 28th, 2023, Larry is missing some of his teeth.
Oh man, I already am not a fan of the Elite. So if it turns out that they actually did knock that dog's tooth out, I would like them even less.
So, well, we won't know. Punk claims, this is all, so far, we've only ever heard CM Punk's side of the story, which kind of will bring us to tonight a little bit. But he says that the only reason there's an NDA signed is not because of anything he did.
Interesting.
And like I said before, I don't know if I might be crazy. CM Punk's arm doesn't look too injured in this.
No,
exactly.
nope.
I mean, if I just do a quick YouTube search, injured all out 2022, does somebody have like the exact moment he got hurt? Oh, this might be it.
Oh, the Tope Suicide.
Let's see here. So this is from All Out. I might be wrong here. Let me see.
Here we go, dive. I mean, if it's... That looks like that would be it.
Yeah. So yes, Punk might just be bullshitting there. Very likely. But he's injured. He's out for, I think, was it 9 months?
Yeah.
Around there. And during this time, Punk claims that nobody talked to him for 6 months. He had to pay his own legal or his own medical bills. He had to pay his own legal bills too, but he had to pay his own medical bills. Nobody talked to him. Nobody helped him set up the surgery or physical therapy. He had to do all that himself, and he only did it. He was only able to do it because of his connections with the doctors from WWE. The same ones he sued.
Yeah,
sued him.
I know the Elite got suspended for this, and I don't know if you're going to touch on it, but when they came back, I know they took quite a few shots with their in-ring work.
Yeah, I wasn't going to bring it because that's all visual. It's kind of hard to portray it.
I know, didn't they, just from memory, the one threw there's a chair throwing in a match.
Yeah, one of the Bucks tried to do the buckshot lariat and then land on his ass.
Then there was some biting.
Yeah, Kenny Omega bit Pac in the arm. One of them did a GTS. I think that was Kenny Omega too.
Yeah, it was just...
So
I think that's a little childish, but...
So obviously, you'd think, after all this backstage intrigue, this huge thing, Punk's back, you'd think they might want to capitalize on it and make money. I think that's something we were saying when it happened.
Yeah.
Why aren't we just fucking... Why aren't we making... Why aren't they doing any type of feud with this? Apparently Punk wanted a meeting multiple times. He was denied. And one of the reasons it was denied was because of this promo on his return on the debut of AEW Collision 2 days before my birthday, June 17th, 2020.
There we go.
This sign right here says CM Punk is my hero. You can call me that. This sign here says Pepsi Phil. You can call me that. This sign here says CM Junk. You can call me that. Boo me, cheer me, love me, hate me. You all do it because you know I'm right. You can call me
I love his shirt
you
here,
want.
by the way.
You know what David Zasloff calls me? One Bill Phil. That's because I am the one true, genuine article in a business full of counterfeit bucks.
So, yeah, the Young Bucks did not like that.
No, nope.
And around this time here too, let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
His shirt, as we were saying, was Larry, but like the Panther that Roddy Piper used to wear.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Of course, it's not going to pop up. Yes, that promo specifically was the reason why I don't know, Tony Khan couldn't schedule a meeting with them, even though Tony Khan they're your employees. I don't know if you knew that.
And we didn't really mention it beforehand, but Collision was essentially made so that way Punk could have his own show and have his friends, and I guess not his friends, but people he wanted to work with. And Dynamite could be the Elite and people they wanted to work with.
Yep.
And the rumor and innuendo was he kept certain people off. He kept Christopher Daniels away from it because he was involved with the all Fallout backstage. Well, Matt Hardy had to come around because of his supposed relationship with the Young Bucks. Same with Nick Nemeth's brother. Yeah, it was an interesting time to say the least.
Around this time as well, CM Punk on a off-air promo decided to say this.
Today I went to a local supermarket and I figured out why they call him Hangman. It's because the pegs in the toy aisle are full of Hangman action figures because nobody wants to buy them.
You son of a bitch!
He's a peg warmer. Unlike me, who moves merchandise and pops ratings and sells toys. You got everybody in AEW saying, I'm the heart, I'm the soul, I'm the spirit. Well, that's objective. What is a fact is the people who say that certainly aren't the chin of AEW because the lights go out faster than what? GTS, go to sleep. I don't know what I'm trying to do. I got rocked too. I told the House of Black no chops and the chop makes them very mad.
So yeah, he ended up texting Hangman apologizing for it, I guess.
Okay.
But if you remember, the apology has to be louder than the disrespect.
Yeah.
So like you alluded to it earlier, Punk was made put in charge of Collision. It was his show.
Yep.
And there's supposed to be separate locker rooms.
Yes.
And during this time, a man by the name of Jack Perry decides that he wants to do an angle. He has a predetermined vacation coming up, and he wants to do this angle with Hook, where he gets thrown through the window of a rental car.
Okay.
According to Punk, again, this is all from Punk's side. We don't have the other side officially at all yet. He cussed out the doctor. He cussed out the producer. He cussed out Tony Schiavone, saying he wanted to do it. And Punk's like, if you want me to handle it, you're not gonna like it the way I handle it. Blah 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 blah. So he goes over there and tells him, no, you can't do it. It's real glass. You're gonna ruin it for the boys. Won't be able to rent cars from them anymore. Blah 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 blah. If you want to do it, go to Wednesday. So that happens, and so we'll go. They have this. With Tony Khan buying Ring of Honor, they get the name All In again, or the right to use it. So they decided to do their first All In show over in London.
Yeah, London. From the aerial interview, I didn't realize how, again, when this happened, we knew the issues at hand, but apparently it was a lot worse and a lot more palpable than I think what either of us even thought. You'll get to it, but I didn't realize when Punk quit.
Yeah, he well, let's start. He lands in London.
Oh yeah.
And he doesn't have a ride to the stadium or to his hotel or wherever. She's like, okay. And this reminds me of you so well, the way he says it, because this is something you would say. He was like, oh, well, I guess let's go on an adventure then.
Maybe they were trying to hold him accountable for when he said if he misses his flight or misses his ride, he won't cancel on the show.
They're trying to hold him to that standard?
Yeah, hold him to his word.
Right. Yeah. So he decides to take the tube, the London subway system. He gets seen by fans. He takes selfies. And he just goes on a little adventure, finds his way to the arena. Again, Don't want to say that it was on purpose or anything. We don't know. He might think it was on purpose, or he might know it was on purpose. Nothing was said.
It certainly seemed like it. Like, how do you how do you not get one of your bigger stars a ride?
Could be, I don't know, like a miscommunication, something. You know, you never know. Things happen. I'm trying to be unbiased here, Logan. All right.
Yeah, well, this is CM Punk. This isn't like, I don't know, who do I want to say before I offend anyone?
Jack Perry.
This isn't Danhausen. All right.
I think Danhausen probably got a ride. Well,
Danhausen probably did get a ride.
Well, you know, Danhausen hasn't been in AEW really since this all went down.
Yeah, and I know he was a Pepsi Phil supporter, so...
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. Anyway, to get to the show, again, at this point, the Bucks and Kenny Omega have not met with Punk. Punk is really, at this time, if you remember from the reports, is really shooting for a CM FTR versus the Elite feud.
Yes.
But they refused to meet with him. I don't know how a talent can refuse a meeting between other talent and the owner of the company.
Oh, because they're EVPs.
I guess so. So we get there, and CM Punk is defending his AEW Real World Championship against Samoa Joe. But before, on the 0 hour of All In, Jack Perry and Hook have a little segment. Let's take a listen to what this segment was.
And you know what this is right here? And then crushing.
Real glass.
Crushing the
Go
abdomen.
cry me a river.
Gonna turn things around.
Oh, boy. That is a destroyed rental car.
I don't know what it was, but it was apparently real glass. And again, according to CM Punk, he thought that was a direct shot at him.
It did seem like it.
It did seem. So Punk confronted him backstage. I believe the words he used was like, "Do we have a problem here?" And in his words, he didn't punch anybody. He just choked somebody a little bit.
Yeah.
Just choked somebody a little bit. Got broken up by Samoa Joe. He looked over at Tony Khan, said, "You're a clown, I quit." And then walked back to his locker room where he got convinced by Samoa Joe and the producer of the match to go on and just, do one last one. And in Punk's last words, he already knew that he quit, that everything's done now. He's not coming back. He's like, this will be the last time I'll ever get to wrestle Samoa Joe. So he went and wrestled Samoa Joe.
Friendship prevails.
Friendship does prevail. And then there was a CM Punk and Jungle Boy or Jack Perry were suspended pending investigation. But it came to the conclusion of that investigation from this independent disciplinary committee was to fire CM Punk, and this was Tony Khan's statement on firing CM Punk.
Today I had to make one of the toughest decisions of my professional career. Today I terminated Phil Brooks, CM Punk, for cause. This stems from a backstage incident at AEW All In last Sunday. The incident was regrettable, and it endangered people backstage. That includes the production staff, the people who help put the show on every week, innocent people who had nothing to do with it. I've been going to wrestling shows for over 30 years. I've been producing them on this network for nearly 4 years. Never in all that time have I ever felt, until last Sunday, that my security, my safety, my life was in danger at a wrestling show. I don't think anybody should feel that way at work. I don't think the people I work with should feel that way. And I had to make a very difficult choice today. It came at the recommendation of a discipline committee here in AEW, as well as outside legal counsel, who delivered a unanimous recommendation. And I have followed up on that recommendation. I'm sorry to any fans who are upset by this. I'm sorry to anyone who's upset by this. Despite that, we're going to have a great show tonight on Collision, and we're going to have a great AEW All Out pay-per-view tomorrow here in Chicago. Last weekend was the greatest weekend in AEW history. This is the greatest week in AEW history. We're going to continue the great momentum here tonight on Collision and tomorrow night on All Out pay-per-view.
So he's fearing for his life.
Yep.
This was kind of the last we know of any communication between Punk and Tony Khan or anybody in AEW. He said that the last time he spoke to Tony Khan was with him saying, "I quit, you're a clown."
I love that.
So yeah, Punk would eventually go and debut on WWE television at the end of Survivor Series.
We've covered both of these on a podcast. We covered the Punk Jack Perry fight and him getting fired.
Yep.
And then we also talked about him coming back to WWE. Like I said, every time that it seems we're done with CM Punk, he does something to get us talking about him again.
So the last thing I want to play here, because I know we've made reference to it, let's just play it for them. This is CM Punk's side of the All-In incident and Tony Khan, courtesy of the MMA Hour, MMA Fighting on SBN YouTube channel, from April 1st, 2024, April Fool's Day. And this was what caused everything that we're about to see tonight on AEW, and last week on AEW with the Edge, or Adam Copeland promo. Listen, what did Punk had to say that was so bad? This is a little bit longer. This will be about 9 minutes. But Logan and I will still be here. I'm sure Logan's gonna giggle at a lot of stuff that's said here.
I gotta admit, I like a lot of the Phil takes.
London.
He doesn't give a shit.
You arrive in London.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about this. Yeah, go ahead.
How does that go? What happens?
There's nobody there to pick me up, and it's not a big deal. I just got on the tube, and I was like, adventure, And
you have to figure it out for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, but that part was fun. But it's completely irresponsible as a company to, leave somebody stranded at the airport. But, I understand the sentiments. People, all the smarties on Twitter, like, oh, can't you just take an Uber? Will you, big crybaby? I never cried about it once. Not once.
How do people find out about these things?
Well, there were fans on the tube.
Okay.
They're taking pictures. Like I'm sitting there, I'm just sitting on the tube, and I'm just like, this is neat.
You feel like adult?
I'm still the guy. When I fly in and out of Chicago, I take the Blue Line home.
Right.
I'm not trying to, be super fancy and shit like that.
Where are you backstage? Jack Perry's on screen, and he says, "Real glass. Why don't you cry about it?" Where are you when this is said?
I was in my locker room.
Did you feel like that was directed at you?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, it obviously was directed at me.
Well, because so for those that may not know, apparently he had a trip planned. He wanted to use glass. You were consulted. You said, "Why would you use glass?" Correct me. You lived it, so I'm trying to bring people up to speed.
This is one of those things where it's just like there's all these rumors about NDAs.
Yes.
There's a big difference between not being allowed to talk about some shit or just not wanting to talk about some shit. I don't necessarily want to litigate this again.
You say again, you've never talked about it publicly, but
no,
you mean
I guess I haven't, but that's the thing. So Tony's big idea was separate show. We're going to separate everybody. And I said, that'll never work. Just let me go. Just get me out of here. Just pay me my money. I've already been off TV. I hurt this arm. Just get me out of here. No, can't let you go. Why? Just let me go. Who cares? It's best. I mean, these guys don't want me here. This isn't a real business. This isn't a business predicated on making money, drawing money, selling tickets, doing business. It's not what it was sold to me as. So let me go. No, I can't let you go. I'm going to do this new show. You're going to have blah, blah, blah. And then the second day we have this show, I'm sitting in catering, minding my own business, and Tony Schiavone comes and gets me, and he's like, hey, I really need your help. And I was like, what? He's like, Jack is, cussing me out, and he's cussed out Mike Mansouri, and he cussed out Daryl from production, and he's cussing out the doctor right now. Why? What? And I was immediately like, dude isn't supposed to be here. I was told people are getting separated, so there's not problems, and you don't want me involved in this because just like everything else I've explained before, like, y'all need to handle this, because if you don't, I'm going to handle it, and you're not going to like the way I handle it. Prophetic words. So he's begging me. Now, please, he drags me out of catering. I go up. Hook and Jack are doing an angle. I don't know anything about Jack going on vacation. All I know is there's a litany of people that don't want, they work 1 day a week and they don't want to. So they want to show up and wrestle and then film vignettes and then sit at home for 4 weeks. Great, not my company. Do what you want. But not on my show. That was my attitude. So I said, Tony, you really want me doing this? Yeah. And I walked up to Jack, and he was sitting in a car. What he wanted to do, it was a rental car. What he wanted to do was smash the window of the rental car with a pipe. And I was just like, it's a rental car. And I very politely, because I like Jack, I was just like, Doc's told you no, Daryl's told you no, Mike's told you no, Shivani's told you no, and now I have to tell you no. And apparently you've cussed them all out. So I'm telling you no. We don't do that here. If you want to do this, go to Wednesday and do it. Right? And he had no problem. He said, okay. He said, well, I just thought it was a really cool idea. And I said, it might be, but this is a rental car. The boys ruin it for the boys. You're going to smash the window of a rental car, and you're going to return it with no fucking window, and now whatever national budget hurts, whatever, is going to be like, don't rent cars to pro wrestlers anymore. This is a thing that's happened.
Right.
This is, so I wasn't trying to throw my weight around. I wasn't like, this is my show and you gotta get out of here. I was just like, this is fucking dumb, man. And he wanted to do it so he didn't have to fly back to Canada. And I, sorry, man. We're privileged to be in this business. We're privileged to do this for a living. Like, I get it. I didn't want to go to Canada either. All the flights were delayed, canceled. Everybody's travel sucked. But to come to this new show when everyone's supposed to be separated, to get rid of all the drama, and then, swearing at the doctor because the doctor's like, it's real glass. You're gonna, like, shit's gonna go in your eye. Like, and I get it. I used to be that kid that was like, young and I want to do this, but there's a safe way to do it. And I politely explained that to him. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cuss at him. I was just like, I very much just said, we don't do that here. This is Saturday. It's a different show. If you want to do stuff like this, do it on Wednesday. That was it. I didn't think there was going to be a problem. He obviously took something very business-minded, very personally. And that's fine, because I've done that before too. But it's very much who he's friends with. Shit never got squashed.
He's friends with.
Nobody's in charge. And it turned into what it turned into.
So he says that, clearly a shot at you, as you said. Match is over, he goes to the back, what happens?
I went to Tony, and I was just like...
Which Tony, by the way?
Khan.
Okay.
And I was like, please handle that. Like, please. And he was like, what do you want me to do? And I was like, I'm not telling you what to do. Just be the boss, please. Like, I'm tired of this shit. Like, I told you this was a mistake. I told you separate shows wasn't going to work, and now we're all here, and, like, please handle it. Because if you don't, you're not going to like the way I handle it.
Did he handle it?
No.
Clearly not, Ariel.
So you did?
Yeah.
What happened?
Jack came back from his match. I was the next match. I'm sitting there. And I got people with me. I'm not going to say who they are, because I got a lot of friends who work there, and I wish them all well, and I don't want them to be punished because they're friends with me, And I walk up to him, and I'm just like, Jack, why do you insist on doing this dumb internet shit, like, on TV, And he's just like, well, if you got a problem about it, do something about it. And I was just like, man, come on, man. I'll fucking kill you. Like, what are we doing?
His face right now.
It's like Chael says.
I think he actually
sometimes
would.
He just can't let you get close. I thought I was doing a responsible thing. You know, I didn't punch anybody. I just choked somebody a little bit. Samoa Joe was there, told me to stop, and then I quit. I turned to Tony and I said, this place is a fucking joke, man. You're a clown. I quit. I went to my room, and then Joe and Jerry Lynn came and got me, and they're like, let's just go out there and kill it. And I was just too fired up, and I'm fired up now, and I'm probably going to regret, you know, talking about all this shit, but that's what happened.
Okay, so for those that don't know, you actually did go out and wrestle.
Yes.
Do you, like, is that all just a blur for you, that match? Do you even remember?
No, that match is I was just like, this is the last time I'm ever going to wrestle Samoa Joe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is my last match in this company.
You knew that?
Yeah, well, I quit. I said, I fucking quit.
So why did you even go out?
For Joe.
Right.
For Joe, for Paul Turner, the referee, for Jerry Lynn, the agent on the match, because I, you know, respect him, and I thought it was the professional thing to do. All the fans, you know, a lot of fans there.
Yeah.
You know, probably a lot of them to see me. You know?
Imagine if he didn't go out
there and give him a show.
100,000 fans, right?
I don't know. You have to check the turnstile count.
What would you do? Because that would keep Punk and Joe off the card.
Oh, yeah. Everything just gets moved up. I guess everybody gets a lot more time now. I remember there's well, our buddies here, right, the one I have up on the screen for us right now, Wrestle Talk. They did a video on all the CM Punk stuff too a couple months ago, and they were all there at the show. We didn't even realize any of this happened. They're like, "Oh my god, dude, CM Punk and Samoa Joe just had this awesome match. Blah 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 blah. I can't wait to see what happens now at next week at All Out." And then they found out after. But that brings us to tonight in approximately 50 minutes. Evie is excited.
Yes.
Last week, after WrestleMania, at about like 1 in the morning Eastern time, when Collision was airing for some reason, they announced that they're going to show that the Young Bucks are going to show footage from All In last year and discuss it for the very first time. Tony Khan here has commented on the interview on the MMA Hour, noting that it was interesting timing ahead of the backstage footage from All In being set to air on tonight's Dynamite show. That was interesting timing given where everything stands. For us, this is a decision based on the timing of our upcoming pay-per-view, AEW Dynasty, and given where the Young Bucks stand going into the World Tag Team Championship Tournament Finals at AEW Dynasty. This was the right time and place for them to play this footage and talk about why it's relevant to them and AEW going forward and what this means going into AEW Dynasty.
Sure, yeah, okay.
So I guess let me just ask you, everybody's saying, or I don't know who's everybody, like Alvarez, Meltzer, Ross Sapp, they're all saying that this isn't a bait and switch, that they're actually showing the footage we think they're going to show. And I'll fall for it. I'm going to tune in here in 50 minutes here to watch it.
Yeah, see, I don't know if they'll show all of it. I'm sure whatever they show will be beneficial to AEW. I can't see them, if Punk's story is true, them showing Punk kind of being calm and just choking Jack out a little. I'm also curious, and I know some stories talked about where Punk lunged at Khan, and that's why he said he was threatened. I want to see if something like that's there. I honestly don't think they're going to show anything. I think they've tricked the dirt sheets. I have this sneaky suspicion it's going to be some sort of filmed BS that the Bucks have done. I mean, if they show it, it has to be the full video. And if it's not, Tony Khan lately has been losing a lot of supporters on the internet. I think this would be damning if it was a goof or if it was just partial. But that's what I think it'll be. I don't think it'll be the full thing. And this is Tony Khan's jumping the shark moment with AEW.
Somebody, I'm looking through Twitter right now. Someone's like, reminder to illegally stream Dynamite tonight. I will not recommend that. I like AEW. I really do.
Yep.
I try not to be one of these guys that's like a tribalistic. I think they have great talent. They have a great roster. I like I said like 1,000 times, it's the same thing for WWE. I don't watch like week to week product. I don't watch every Raw, every Dynamite, every SmackDown, every Collision, so on and so forth. But I'll tune into all the pay-per-views for each company, and AEW for the most part does run better shows typically than WWE does in terms of in-ring product and stuff like that. So I love watching AEW, like wrestling. I love watching it.
Yeah.
I'll reserve comment until I actually see it. I on face value, I don't think it's a good idea to show it.
Regardless what they show, it's not a good idea.
So let's say, okay, it's as damning as Punk says it is, where he chokes out one of your younger talent, and now that guy doesn't even work for your company anymore, and you're gonna build towards a match that you can't ever cash in.
Right.
Or you embarrass CM Punk. The people that hate CM Punk are gonna hate him, and I don't think this is gonna turn anybody that likes CM Punk against him that only watches AEW. Like everybody that watched AEW just to watch CM Punk are already gone. They don't watch anymore. So
they're in WWE.
Yeah, it's not.
We have a couple on our socials that have done that.
Why? Like, what's the point?
There isn't one. They're not thinking. It's exactly like you said. This isn't going to make people hate Punk more, but there is that big chance that's going to make people hate Tony Khan more, which is not what the company needs at this time.
Yeah, so like I said, that kind of brings us to where we're at right now. Hopefully, like I said, I know there's NDAs announced, so I really would like to know what happened. At All Out, 2022. That's something that I think will live in wrestling infamy forever. I don't know how long the NDAs are. I don't know if it's forever. It'd suck that it never comes out, but
I'm sure it will at one point.
Somebody's got to write a book, right?
Yeah.
There has to be somebody there that didn't sign an NDA that can
Larry.
talk about Larry. But yeah, I don't know. I guess the real question is, Logan. Do we end it here, or do you want to take a little break and come back with the footage that they show tonight? I'm assuming they show it at the top of the hour.
I don't know if we turn this into a part 2, just so that way. Because I not only want to discuss the footage, I want to see reactions.
I think we can do both.
I want to see if Punk reacts. I want to see if Jack Perry reacts. I want to see if WWE takes a shot at it, depending on how potentially stupid it could be. I want to see if this. There's a lot of what ifs with this, and I am definitely curious. I'm wondering if by them showing it, if it makes someone like leave the company because it could piss them off enough. I know there's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, well,
but in typical CM Punk fashion, the story's just beginning.
Yeah. Hopefully he has no other drama heading into his time here at WWE.
Yeah.
And he gets the send off or the last run that he wants. So
it'd be nice. But now the ball is officially in Tony Khan and the Elite's court. And the only way that you can find out what happens there is by watching Dynamite tonight. And the only way that you can find out about the reactions is by tuning into us.
Where can they find that, Logan? Where can they tune into
they can find us on Spotify. They can find us on YouTube. If they want more than just CM Punk Vince McMahon drama, we have more than that as well. We also have some written pieces on our Facebook, and we keep up with the bigger shows and some of the smaller news on X. And there's also a couple posts here or there from us on Instagram. You also run our wonderful TikTok.
I do, sometimes.
And if you're interested in what we are pumping out, make sure you go buy some PWP merchandise on our Etsy store. And just to kind of tie it all together, again, congratulations to Nick Putnam for winning the WrestleMania Pick'em and being that one win away from a perfect score.
Better luck next year. 'Cause I told Logan before, I was like, if somebody gets a perfect score, I'd give them $10,000.
Wow.
But
sorry about that, Nick. Sorry about your luck.
Nick, you did not.
Maybe next year you'll finish your story.
Oh, it was a one-time deal. Next year,
okay.
Next year, perfect score gets a fucking ass kicking.
Oh, so you don't want that?
Real glass.
Real glass.